you see? It's Ron. I'm back. I know it's been a while, but you know, I'm not made of money, so I do what I can do. I did manage to pick up some pretty cool stuff though in the last couple of months, and a lot of this I picked up within the last week or two because the record store, one of the local record stores that I hit up, bought a pretty cool collection of Prog and Psych. A lot of it I already had, but there was some pieces that I did get, so I'm very pleased with those. And there's going to be some reissues and some OGs here, and it's going to be all Prog and Psych. So let's get going with a little Kraut Rock. And that's what's on the turntable right now, if you can hear it. And it's the first album by Gila. I believe this came out in 1971. And this is their first album. They only had two releases. So this is a fantastic reissue from last year, German. It's on the label Garden of Delights. Limited edition of 2,000 copies on black vinyl and hand numbered, and I got number 62. It comes with a reproduction of the original poster that the original came with, which is just basically the front album cover, and it also comes with this really nice booklet, photos of the band, information, history, lots of good. There seems to be some interview and you know, not a whole lot of great pictures, but it's got some nice black and whites of the band. So that's nice. High quality, sounds great. Before I bought it, I decided to do a little research on it because I wasn't sure about it. I did get it used, so that was nice, and it's in great shape. So I went home, did some quick check-in. I was reading some comments on Discogs about it. People were raving about it, so that's good enough for me. So I picked it up. Now, I went in deeper into the internet, and I was reading some more like professional reviews about it. And I suppose if you're like a Kraut Rock expert, this album's just sort of average. You know, it's good, but it's nothing groundbreaking, nothing monumental. It's got the same formula, you know, pretty much as all Kraut Rock does. Space rock, heaviness in parts, and the Eastern vibes. So that all that's going on here. There's not much in the way of vocal. There's a little spoken word in German, but yeah, I would rate it probably 3.5 stars at best, and I think that's about right. Some people might rate it 3. It's very enjoyable, very likable, very likable. Excuse me, but yeah, it's kind of just like all one long piece, like a suite, you know, all put together, you know, kind of a thing. But yeah, very cool. This next one I got, picked this up used, of course, because it's a vintage album. That's usually what happens when you pick up vintage albums, they're used. But it's Hawkwind Roadhawks. This is a compilation out of the UK from the 70s, 1976 to be exact, I believe. And it was compiled by band member Dave Brock in 1975. He went in and he picked out all the tracks himself, and then he did a remix on the album. And what he did, this is so cool, he took all the tracks and he blended them together, so when one song is fading out, the next song's actually fading in at the same time, so they're like joined, and it makes it sound more like a real Hawkwind album. It's just totally cool. So yeah, this is definitely one you need. Even though it's a compilation, it's one of the best comps I've ever heard. It's on the typical United Artists tan label. Cool. Now I got a reissue of Flower Traveling Band, Satori. This is their second album. And last year I got their first album, which is more underground rock with some cover versions and stuff. Very, very, very good album. These guys, the thing that really impressed me about these guys is their musicianship. Top notch. These guys were fantastic musicians. And this is all original material. And Satori, it's like all one, the whole album is Satori. It's all different like suites put together, different sections and styles of music. There is some vocal, but it is mainly instrumental. And I believe this album, it came out on the Phoenix Records label, European, and I believe I read on Discogs it's unofficial, but if it is fantastic. Now I have some other things from Phoenix Records, and yeah, their stuff is top quality. I mean, it's good as official, so fantastic album. You really need to look into this one. Okay, now I'll show a little US Psych that come from that haul that I was telling you about. I got an excellent copy of the only album by Griffin, 1968. And The World's Filled with Love is the name of the album. They were a trio. And this is a pretty mediocre album overall. But there's 5 tracks that everybody likes. And so that, just because of that, it elevates it up a little bit, I think. Even though it's very, you know, even though it's only 5 songs, I really like those 5 songs, as most people do. But yeah, for just an unknown, basically an unknown, underrated band, I really like this album. It's on the ABC label, so very, very cool, 1968. Here's another one on the ABC label that I picked up. And this one came out in 1969, and it is by Puzzle. Again, this is their only album. And this is more hard rock mixed with soft rock on side 2. And it's ABC again. And it's got a die-cut cover. You've probably seen this around in the VC before. Really, really good, solid album. The thing that most people don't like about it, it's got one long blues rock tune on side 1, which goes on a little bit too long. But I think it would have been a lot better if they would have put in a really nice fuzzed out guitar solo in that song, and I don't think that it's there. I listened to this one time and I don't think it has that, but still really cool. It seems like the front man, if that's the front man standing there in the front, I think it probably is. He was also the bass player and probably the vocalist. So, and he's Native American, so very cool. Okay, back to a little Kraut Rock. I got the Almond Duel 2. And this album came out in 1974. This is an original US copy. And it's called Viva La Trance. And there's the label. The good old tan United Artists label. This one is good, but it's definitely not as good as some of their earlier albums. Actually, the album that came right before this, I like, you know, a lot more than this one. This is alright, but it's nothing fantastic. But Almond Duel 2, they were, you know, I've said it before, they were, you know, definitely one of the top leaders in the Kraut Rock movement. Fantastic band. Still wanting to get their first album. I do not have that. Okay, now, I believe it was in the last video I showed the first UFO album, or UFO, however you want to say it. So I thought, oh man, after doing some checking, I thought, I gotta get Flying, their second album. Boom! It pops up in the record store. And this is part of that same haul that I got. This is not an original, it's a UK reissue from 1976. And it's on the Nova label. Excellent quality press, sounded awesome. Nice and clean. Really pleased to get this. The name of the album is 1 Hour Space Rock, and actually the album does time into about an hour. I didn't add up the times to see if it isn't exactly an hour, but it could be. So the album originally came out in 1973, and it's totally different from their first album. It's more like space rock, Kraut Rock. So, really, really cool. So, yeah. Oh, I take it back. The back cover says 73, but I just looked at the label. Yeah, I thought 73 sounded wrong. So I looked at the label, and actually come out in 1971. The first album's from 70, I believe, and then their second one's from 71. So, yeah, really, really excellent. 4 stars, in my opinion. Fantastic. Okay, this is another one that's like really highly rated. It's not a first pressing, but it is a US reissue from several years later, and it's Camel Mirage. This is a 76 reissue, and I think the album came out a few years before this. It was reissued on I believe it was, yeah, I think it was first came out on Passport with this cover, and then it was withdrawn. It was reissued on the Janus label with a cartoon cover, which sucks. And then later, years later, in 76, it was reissued by Passport again with the original cover, the original European cover. Now, I always thought that was like copyright infringement on the tobacco company. But I was doing some reading, and the band's management actually struck a deal with the tobacco company in order to use their logo and you know, the camel and the whole deal. The band didn't like it. They didn't like being associated with cigarettes that caused cancer. But it was actually, you know, reissued again with the cover. So this is a great cover. Excellent album. I don't really know Camel very well, but this is regarded probably their best album. Yeah, I don't want to go into a lot of the details about it, but it is good. It's real good album. Just not real freaky. Okay, this next one originally came out in '67 on a very small label. Local release, I think, and it's the first album to feature Mariel Fankenhauser, who later did it. Second band was HMS Bounty, and also he did Moo. So this was like the first album to feature him, and it really was able to introduce the world to his musical talents. Very talented guy. He wrote all the songs. It's a mixture of folky pop rock and pop rock. And I guess this album was assembled from a lot of different recordings from different times. It's not really like a real proper album. So parts of it are folk rock, and parts of it are pop, but it's really good, and originals bring a lot of money. So that's like a Gershon German reissue that I picked up used. And it comes with this insert with liner notes by Fankenhauser. So yeah, it's a good album, very solid. Okay, this one I just picked up also from that haul, and it's a mono US original copy of the first Pearls Before Swine, One Nation Underground. And so this is the original cover design. The second cover design is black and white, and it says Pearls Before Swine in bold lettering up here. And then the third version of the album cover looks more like this. And this is a Get Back Italian reissue, unauthorized. So this is a stereo version, and this is a mono version, which I was just thrilled to find. It's a very nice VG Plus copy. It's missing the original color poster that it did come with, and there's the label. Now, from what I read on Discogs, some of the labels have dark chocolate brown ink. This one's done in black, which is not represented on Discogs. So that's kind of unusual, but it is mono, so it is early. So it sounded fantastic. I was a little bit worried that this pressing wasn't gonna sound very well, so because I guess ESP didn't always use the best vinyl, and so some of their pressings can be a little crackly. But I put this on and I was blown away how good it sounded. So wherever this was pressed, they used good vinyl, so awesome. Okay, now I did get a grail. I got a grail out of that haul. So I mean, I got a good deal on this. Whoever priced it a bit too low. So, I mean, if you look what people are asking for this thing on Discogs compared to what I paid for it, I got a nice VG Plus US copy of Common People. The cover is like a nice VG. It's got a promo cut right there, and it's some guy wrote his name here. But other than that, I mean, it's a nice solid cover. Just a little bit of ring work, you know, starting to pop up there. It's on the green label. This is a West Coast Los Angeles pressing, and it played great. Real clean. I'm thrilled. One of the top Capital Psych LPs for sure. And the only one that I'm missing now would be like an original Gandalf. I don't have that, but I have originals of all the others. And but I do have a reissue of the Gandalf, so you know that's okay. But yeah. Awesome album, man. I guess like the first 3 tracks were produced by David Axelrod. And then I heard he had some personal issues going on with his wife. I think she was in an accident or something like that. I think that's what I read online. And I think he probably had to bail after, you know, those initial first 3 recordings that are on the album. he did some fantastic psychedelic instrumentation on those, especially the second song, which is I Have Been Alone. I think that's my favorite track on the album. The rest of it's good. Side 2 opens up with a really lame-ass novelty song that I think was written by one of the people associated with the making of the albums, just so he could generate some royalty money. It's total filler, but luckily it's the first track on side 2, so you can just skip it when you put it on side 2. You can just skip that song, so it works out well. So yeah, love it. All right, that's gonna do it for today's video, and I'm gonna go see my mom later. So everybody take care, and I will see you in the future.